lyrics are catastrophic. Punchlines and metaphors leave you stiff like catatonics. Your thoughts are microscopic, your reality's a dream. My words offer freedom, so respect the Elohim. Spit the truth through the verse, let it spread like a virus. I offer you the cure. What do they know that the rest of the population don't know? That ratio, and then 80%. That 80% ratio, and they know that. See, people think AIDS is the #1 killer of African people. It's not. What is the #1 killer? Abortion. Abortion. So nothing has changed but the agenda and the methods.
What would you say is now the #1 cause of death in the African American community?
Disease.
Oh, HIV, AIDS.
Diabetes, cancer, AIDS.
I'll say heart disease. AIDS.
From what I heard, it's probably AIDS, you know.
Probably heart disease. I think heart disease.
HIV. Gang violence.
What if I told you the real answer was abortion?
One of the main aspects of our dispossession is the fact that we have a very low birth rate.
Rick, what does population stabilization mean, and how do you seek to enforce that?
Right now, the birth rate among European peoples all over the world, including Europe and the rest of the world, is approximately 1.2.
You know, what it means for Americans is unrestrained population growth. I'm a baby boomer. I was born in the middle of the last century. The population in the country has doubled in my lifetime. Those kids in high school today are going to see 500 million people living in America.
In other words, we're losing 40% of our population every generation.
And the question we're asking is, why do we need to have this growth, and where's it coming from? And we've located the source. Right. Over 80% of it is coming from immigration and the children that immigrants.
You're talking about the liberal social engineers who control the Democratic Party, or the wealthy elitists who control the Republican Party, or the media, or the academic community. These people have created a kind of family planning cartel that does not tolerate dissent. And they have always been especially ruthless about this when it comes to African Americans. A perfect example of this was seen in the case of Samuel Yet. He wrote a book that exposed high-level plans within the United States to use birth control and abortion as instruments of black genocide.
I decided to investigate the racist history of Planned Parenthood and if it plays out today in both their practical policies and how they affect minority populations, but also their development department.
Good afternoon, this is Autumn.
Hello, Autumn. I'm interested in making a donation today.
Fantastic.
What about abortions for the underprivileged minority groups?
Certainly.
Okay. So the abortion could be, you know, I could give money specifically for a black baby. That'd be the purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to designate that you wanted your gift to be used to help an African American woman in need, then we would certainly make sure that that gift was earmarked specifically for that purpose.
Great, because I really face trouble with affirmative action, and I don't want my kids being disadvantaged, you know, against black kids. I just had a baby. I want to put it in his name, you know. So that's definitely possible.
Oh, always, always.
And we just think, you know, the less black kids out there, the better.
Your remarks last month when you called Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, a person whom you enormously admire, were stunning to me. Margaret Sanger clearly embraced bigotry and racism. She advocated for the elimination of the disabled, the downtrodden, and the black child. In one of her writings, she said, "Today, eugenics is suggested by the most diverse minds as the most adequate and thorough avenue to the solution of racial, political, and social."
I admire Margaret Sanger being a pioneer in trying to empower women to have some control over their bodies.
Out of appreciation for the African American community, Planned Parenthood is committed to providing the highest level of care to people of all cultures and backgrounds. This is indeed very generous of Planned Parenthood to lend a helping hand to one of Margaret Sanger's favorite ethnic groups, as exemplified by Margaret Sanger's famous Negro Project.
This idea that man could reinvent the world through eugenics was an elitist philosophy espoused by those who considered themselves to be not only financially superior, but intellectually superior to everyone else. And Planned Parenthood became the golden child of these people because Planned Parenthood is the one who figured out how to make eugenics work.
The minister's work is also important, and also he should be trained, perhaps by the Federation, as to our ideals and the goal that we hope to reach. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members.
I have seen the news media literally hide their trucks so that they would not be in a position to have to cover the demonstrations in front of Cobo Hall, only to bring them out after the demonstrators had left. This is an outrage that the black community is having the life of its babies destroyed, and the NAACP and the media are knowingly conspiring to keep this information from the public. This is an outrage.
We've seen this several times in Africa where droughts have hit, and the United Nations and USAID will not assist unless they accept birth control. I've been all through Africa myself, and I've seen medical clinics that are full of birth control devices but no safe motherhood delivery kits. There's no anesthesia, there's not even any bandages there. There's crates and crates of birth control pills and condoms. Now, while our commitment to birth control is going up every year, our commitment to authentic economic development is dropping. So we see less clean drinking water funding, less school funding, see less medical clinic funding. Another example is Haiti. Haiti has been hit by hurricanes several times, and the United States and other countries are saturated with birth control. In Haiti now, any woman, 90% of women at least, can now get access to any kind of birth control they want to, government funded, but less than 20% of the Haitians have access to clean drinking water. Now try to imagine there being a natural catastrophe in a country like Canada or Australia or France or England. And we go in there and we say to them, we're not going to offer you any kind of aid unless you accept our philosophy on birth control and population control. That will be outrageous. But that's our standard operating procedure when we go to a black country after a catastrophe of some kind. You cannot believe that we are going to treat people in a foreign country like this and not treat our own population of African Americans the same way. Consider what happened after Hurricane Katrina. One of the first things we did was bring in birth control and contraception. And as we all know, the hurricane disproportionately affected black families in that area. And I seriously doubt if the same kind of disaster hit a middle-class white area, the first response would be condoms and birth control.
They figured out that the key to racial genocide is not in killing people, but in convincing the target group to commit mass suicide. This is what birth control, and especially abortion, are all about. And the reason Planned Parenthood has been so successful is because, unlike other eugenics organizations, they have always been able to keep their agenda hidden from the public.
Way beyond that, we can prove AIDS is signed into law. AIDS is U.S. Public Law 91-213. What is U.S. Public Law 91213? See?
It was a law Richard Nixon that gives John D. Rockefeller the ability to depopulate.
Correct. So this is what we need them to do on YouTube. I want you to write your congressman, write your president, whoever, and you ask them to explain to you what is U.S. Public Law 91-213. Okay? Because all this is Richard Nixon giving John D. Rockefeller the authorization, giving him the approval, signing into law a plan to depopulate the population. But listen to this, because this is a wordplay. What's the wordplay, you guys? Depopulate. How do you depopulate something?
By either killing someone or stop someone from being.
There's only two ways to depopulate anything. You have to either A, kill somebody, or B, you have to stop somebody from being born.
Somebody or something.
From being born. That is the only two ways. Don't let them fool you with their wordplay. Anytime they start talking about overpopulation or depopulation, They are talking about those two things.
A majority of people in Colorado voted for abortion. I think a majority of people in Michigan voted for abortion. I think in both cases, well, certainly in Michigan, they will vote for it because they think that what's going to be aborted generally are the little black substates. As I told you, we talked about it earlier, that a hell of a lot of people want to control the Negro bastard. Yeah. Isn't that very true? So we know what we're talking about, population control. Sure. We're talking really in what John Rockefeller realizes. The people in what we call our class control their populations. Sometimes they'll have a math of 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. But it's exception. The people who don't control their families are people in the people that shouldn't have kids. Now that's what the black population in the city of San Francisco has gone from 3,000 right after World War II to where they represent 30% of the population of San Francisco.